We are in Yaakov, Brachot 27b, and it says like this. Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer said, Hamitpalel Achorei Rabo, if somebody is davening behind his Rebbe, or another case, now what's the problem there? By the way, when he's davening behind his Rebbe and he has to bow, it looks as if he's bowing to his Rebbe. Okay? Not a good situation.
There's a side comment here that says, which shows arrogance.
That's coming up. That's Vanoten Shalom the Rebbe, or somebody who says hi to his Rebbe. That is showing the arrogance, because what's he doing? He's saying, how you doing?
And he's davening, huh? Well,
No. It's, I meet you on the street. I say, Mr. President, how are you? That's showing deference to your office. If you meet the rabbi, you're supposed to say, Rabbi, how are you? When you see your friend on the street and on the other hand, you just say, how you doing? Now imagine your rabbi's walking down the street and you say, hey, what's happening? How's it hanging? Okay? That is the height of arrogance, because you're treating your Rebbe as a friend, and you're supposed to have the utmost respect for your rabbi, and you're supposed to humble yourself. And say, the Eitz Yosef even goes further to say that you're supposed to bow a little before him and say in fear and honor, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, peace be unto you, Rebbe. You know, it's supposed to be that sort of a respect. So if you just say to him, Shalom, how you doing, man? That's no good, okay? Or Hamachazir Shalom the Rebbe, or you return the greeting to the Rebbe, again in a friendly manner. You're not doing it in a matter of kavod. You're not doing it in a matter of honor. Okay, and then the fourth case, ve'acholek al yeshivato shel Rabbo, or you argue on the yeshiva of the rabbi, which is you're just again showing your your arrogance there. Okay. And finally, ha'omer davar shelo shama mipi Rabbo, somebody who says something about Torah, about halacha, that he didn't hear from his Rebbe. Notice his Rebbe never talked about it, but he decided he's going to rule on the issue. Okay? The Shabbos app. You've heard about the Shabbos app?
Shabbos what?
App. This is a Shabbos app now. I don't know who invented it, but this is a Shabbos app. Nobody knows what the Shabbos app is, but this is a Shabbos app. Supposed to, I don't even know how it's supposed to work. I saw what people say, but it doesn't make sense to me. I think it works on the grama, something like the Somet, the scooter that they made for the sick people, the old people.
Yeah.
So something like that, where it's supposed to be a grama or something like that. And so when the Shabbos app came out, first of all, everybody thought it was a joke. App like a telephone, so that people can text on Shabbos.
Oh, you mean, an application?
Yeah, Shabbos app. It's called the Shabbos app, right?
For a smartphone.
Yeah, for a smartphone. So everybody originally thought it was a joke. Very funny, ha ha ha. And then it said, no, it's not a joke. It's a real thing. Next thing you know, there's banned the Shabbos app that hits the internet. Then it comes with everybody's condemnation of the Shabbos app. There's been some discussion about the Shabbos app. Okay, fine. And now, your Rebbe never heard about this. Your Rebbe never heard of an iPhone or a smartphone or anything else. Suddenly you come out without any real knowledge of what you're trying to say. You think you know. And you say, this is what the halacha is. First of all, it's easy to say asur. It's very easy to say it's forbidden, no problem. I can say anything's forbidden and be probably within my rights. But when it comes to saying it's mutter, that it's allowable, that's hard. Okay? So you have these, supposedly we have yet to know who these luminaries are, who said the Shabbos app is fine. They have yet to be identified. But it's supposedly they have a board of rabbis who are saying it's good. I'm waiting to hear it. But it's nevertheless, we'll find out who these rabbis are sooner or later, unless everybody backs off before it actually hits the airways. But that would be the case where I'm saying something that I didn't hear from the mouth of my Rebbe. And this is a strange thing because everybody picks on us and says, what are you talking about? We all have to say things that weren't from the Rebbe. The Rebbe didn't hear everything, but this is coming from the concept of that everything's from Sinai. If I'm walking that way, so that everything that the principle I would have known from my Rebbe. The application I wouldn't. That has to be my time. But how you would come to the ruling is something from my Rebbe. So I have to know how he would have operated. I can't say anything outside that getter, outside that area, because according to this, again, that's a height of arrogance. And what happens? Goreim, if I do any of these 5 things, so Goreim the Shechina, Shetistalek mi Israel. It will cause the divine presence to remove itself from Israel. And so it's not a very good situation to get involved with. So it's all showing arrogance, it's showing a lack of kavod for the Rebbe, it's showing a lack of kavod for the Masorah. So you have to be very, very, very careful. Okay? That's basically what it's saying. One other thing, did I see anything else on this that I wanted to say? Oh, so here, the Eitz Yosef says one thing that's also, I remember was very important. When he was talking about saying hi to the Rebbe, it says, you shouldn't say to him, he's going with this, and he did not say to him, Shalom Alecha Rebbe. And the Rambam said, V'lo yitin shalom l'rabo, o yachshel l'shom kederach shenotum l'ra'eim. That you should not say a hi or return the greeting as you would to a friend. Ela shoch elefanav, like I said, rather you should bow a little and say in yira v'kavod shalom alecha Rebbe. You should say hello, peace be upon you, Rebbe. Yimnaton l'rabo shalom, and let's say the rabbi said hello to him first. Yachzul shalom aleichem Rebbe umori. You should say to him, peace be upon you, Rebbe, my teacher, my teacher, my Rebbe umori, my teacher and my guide, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and it says acholek al shivato shel Rabbo. Somebody who disagrees with the Rebbe. Tav Rambam, again the Rambam writes in the Mishnah Torah. Ezu cholek al Rabbo. What's considered a person who is disagreeing with his rabbi? Zeh shekavel lo midrash. It's a person who establishes for himself a base madrash. V'yoshev v'doresh v'malamed shlo b'reshut Rabbo. He sits down. He makes himself a base madrash. He sits in his base madrash. He teaches Torah without the permission of his rabbi. The Rabbo Kayim, and his rabbi is alive. Even though the rabbi is in a different state. Okay, so here, if I went to yeshiva, when I was going to YU, okay, so if I never received smicha from YU, and then I decided, you know what, I know enough, I'm going to go out and I'm going to teach. According to this, I am gorem l'shchina sh'titzalech Israel. I'm causing the shchina to leave Israel because I wasn't given permission to teach Jewish law. When it comes to Torah, when it comes to the stories, when it comes to all that, no problem. But when it comes to teaching Jewish law, I have to have a license.
Ruling on a
right. I have to have a license for that.
That's where semicha comes in.
You can't practice without a license. That's what you're saying. If you have a license, but like I said, without that, if I want to teach theoretically, let's say Gemara or anything like that, you can teach. Right? It seems that you can teach. That's not a problem. It's just you're not making hurrah.
You can't make.
So when somebody so somebody says, "How do you rule in that case?" It's not my business. And that's why when you go to a shiur, many times in yeshiva, they don't bring it down to halacha. I'm not sure if they're doing it because it's not in their curriculum to use such language, or if it's just they don't feel fit to do it, or if it's or what the problem is. I was never quite sure why they wouldn't give a ruling, because they all had smicha.
A lot of I've noticed that also if you ask a rabbi, a genuine rabbi, a pure theoretical question, a lot of times they don't want to give a very specific answer. It's a real case.
Right. No, that's also true. The reason is, when you get into people love to ask theoretical questions. They love asking.
Yeah. What if I did?
Right. So what happens is, really what they're doing is they have a practical case. And they don't want to ask the question as a practical case, because if you rule, they're stuck with that ruling. So they say, theoretically, what would you say if A, B, and C happened? So somebody once said that to me. And I said to them, look, theoretically, it could go this way, it could go that way. Yeah, but what would you say? I said, theoretically, it could go this way or that way. But what would you say? You said, it's theoretical. I'm not ruling for you. If it's a real practical case, so then I have siyata d'shmaya, it says, I have the help of heaven when I'm ruling on a case. That's what we're promised, siyata d'shmaya. Siyata d'shmaya means I can get on the telephone and call up Rabbi Shechter. You or some other, one of the other consultants. That's siyata d'shmaya today. Okay? You don't take it upon yourself. But it's what we say, that you can't rule if you don't know everything. If it's on the ground, it's theoretically, you get a lot of things can happen. But when it's on the ground, then you have to say, okay, this is what we have to do. The sukkah, one part of the schach is off. Can I put it back? Can't I put it back? You have to make a ruling on that. It's not a matter of, well, some people argue. Leave me alone. I need to know, if I sit in that sukkah, can I get bracha? Can I fix it on Yom Tov? Can I fix it on Chol Hamoed? When can I fix it? Is it no good forever? Okay, are the walls good? The wind goes to the walls shake, this, that, all of Mishigasim goes with it. Okay? Am I allowed to use it? The mechitza is glass. Okay, you go walk into some shows.
Yeah.
You'll have a glass mechitza.
That's a one-way thing.
No, two-way. You can see through it.
Both
clear.
Both ways?
Clear.
Yeah.
Clear. So, yeah, because the women want to see the men, and men want to see the women. I don't know. But, so the question is that a valid mechitza? And so now you have to get into, what's the point of the mechitza? Is mechitza just simply a physical separation between the men and the women, just like it was in the Beis HaMikdash, or is it supposed to be something that I shouldn't see the woman? So if I rule, like, I forget the names involved, let's say, I wish I remember the name. I think it's the Satmar. If I rule like Satmar or that school of thought, I'm pretty sure it's Satmar, then I can't see the women. So I have to put the curtain up. It has to be an opaque. Opaque means I can't see through. Right?
Opaque, right.
Opaque.
You cannot see through.
Opaque, I can't see, so I can't do it. On the other hand, if it's not that opinion, it's just I have to separate the sexes. So then I could have any wall. It could be 10 tefachim high, about 40 inches. And so it doesn't have to be 5 feet at that point. Just I have to separate you, so I separated you. And that's why some shuls in the West, like Kansas, they used to have just separate seating without the mechitza. And they called themselves Orthodox.
I saw when Ariel was in high school in Providence, one of her girlfriends there had a bar mitzvah party we took her to on Sunday. It was like Bedford, Massachusetts, to the east, I think. Was it somewhere east? I think. And I got to see the inside of the shul there. Their mechitza was an open lattice structure where you're, like this, openings that big.
Wow. Again. I mean, the question is, what
anybody's view.
No, the question is, what is the point of the mechitza? Is it merely a separation? In that case, I've separated you. Fulfill my obligation. Or is it, no, I have to be that I can't see you because for whatever reason I can't see you. So that becomes that definition is what will define what it is. Here you have mechitza, it's tall. Nobody can argue on the height of our mechitza. Right here, nobody can argue on it. What you could argue is I can see through it.
Yeah.
But you can argue in the shul. I can see through it. Not a problem. I can see through the one in the shul. The shul not that difficult. But if I would go to New York to David Cohen's shul or other ones like that, you cannot see through that mechitza. They go to Lubavitch. You cannot. They may be able to see me. But I think they have two-way glass, whatever it's called, that they can see me, but I can't see them. But we can't see them, clearly. But if I go to the old shuls in New York that have the balcony, see everything.
Just turn around and look.
So I'm sitting here, the women are there.
On the side or
behind? Here, whatever, right, So you can see. There's not anything to block your sight. So you can say hi to your wife or your girlfriend or maybe that's somebody want to be my girlfriend. So in the old shuls, they had balconies, but it was more than it was high. So they would argue that it's not a problem. Then you had those who said that those weren't good enough. You shouldn't see the women at all. Again, it all depends on how you define mechitza. What's the purpose of mechitza? That's what I'm saying, though. That's the theoretical questions. What would you say in this case? What would you say in that case? Give me a practical in the ground case. Don't argue about it. But like I said, that's halacha. But when it comes to teaching this sort of a course, I don't have to have smicha. I just have to be able to define to understand Hebrew. All right? And when you go through it. You record on YouTube, and you're all happy. Everybody's happy. Okay. But that's what the Rambam is saying. He's saying that's what it means that if you said something that you were arguing with that you split off, you separated from the yeshiva of the rabbi. And then he says, if you said something that you're Adav shel shama mipi Rabbo, you said something that you did not hear from the rabbi's mouth. Again, the Rambam says, Lo yemar davar shelo shama mipi Rabbo ad shemazkir shem omro. You should not say something from that you did not hear from the mouth of your Rebbe until you mention the one who said it. So if I'm going to say, I heard that this is the rule, I heard this ruling, you need to that you didn't hear from your Rebbe. Now, what's the assumption here, by the way? If I'm ruling, you, the person coming to me, are assuming that I got that ruling from my Rebbe, because I'm following his tradition. If my Rebbe didn't say that, on the other hand, so then I have no right to make it appear as if he said it. So if I'm going to quote an opinion that I never heard him say, but I saw somebody else say that, so I'm supposed to say, I heard that Reb blah blah says this. And of course, Reb blah blah is a big name, you'll appreciate. It's like when people say, what's his name from Auerbach. Reb Auerbach said, or the other one, I forget a luminary's names here. Reb Moshe said, or anybody of these other names that we didn't learn from. If I say, I heard that by the way, if you ever heard, say, I heard that it's said in the name of, so give that up. Don't even bother. It's just like you wasted my whole day. Because you heard that it was said in the name of doesn't do anything to me. If you saw it written, if we can check it out, that's when the world of science agrees with Torah. It has to be repeatable. It can't just be I heard in the name of, and therefore there's no proof of what I'm saying.
Yeah, like who did you hear it? Where did you hear it?
No, you say I heard from somebody that Reb Moshe said to this person at this question. It's not repeated.
It's what you heard wasn't from.
It's all hearsay. Hearsay doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and I would go so far as to say, even if I heard it from his Talmud Muvak, I would be very skeptical to accept something like that. If he said, I asked him specifically, and he said this, okay, so then you may be able to take it. Unless I heard in the name of. Okay? So then it says, so the Torah and the Beit Yosef write, Stam, Kol Mashitamid Omer Sovrim, that's what I said. That simply, normally, what is the Savara, it's a common reasonable to assume that whatever the Talmud says from Savara, he understood that he heard it from his Rebbe. Okay? So, and if he did not hear it from his Rebbe, he needs to inform the people who he heard it from. And that's the reason that we okay. And if he doesn't do this, that's why we find that that it's bad for the Rebbe that is said upon his name. Okay. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, so now we go on to the next case. The next case is fun, in that we okay. So now we get into the famous case of Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua and Rabban Gamliel's deposement. What do you call it? Deposed.
Yeah, he
deposed him. He deposed him.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the story that happens. Okay, actually I'll give you his introduction. It's a nice introduction. This is the actual introduction. It says the incident that follows is among the most famous in the Talmud. To provide us with some history, we're going to give you a brief introduction. He quotes it from Dorot HaRishonim, from Rav Yitzchak Isaac Halevi. So it's the period of the Mesivta of Yavne, during which the events the Gemara is about to relate transpired following directly after the destruction of the Second Temple in 69 CE. Realizing that the fall of the besieged city of Jerusalem was imminent, and perceiving that the survival of the central Sanhedrin was critical to the nation's future, the aged Av Beitin and Torah leader of the generation, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, petitioned the Roman general Vespasian to spare the city of Yavne for the Torah scholars to gather there. This petition was granted. The Mesivta at this is cool. So the Mesivta at Yavne, at which the surviving sages subsequently convened, was thus the direct successor to the great Sanhedrin, though it lacked some of the powers of that body, such as the ability to judge capital cases. So that's number one. We have to recognize that it's just moving the Beit Din. Okay? As has been in the previous generations, the Sanhedrin, and now the Mesivta at Yavne, was headed by two Torah giants, the Nasi, the president, or Rosh Mesivta, or the head of the school, and the Av Beit Din, the position which is the father of the Beit Din, which would be the deputy. Okay. The position of Nasi was above that of the Av Beit Din. At the time of his petition to Vespasian, so Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had also requested and been granted that the Romans spare the family of the Nasi, which was descended from the royal line of David. Thus, as soon as the Mesivta began functioning in Yavne, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai installed as Nasi Rabban Gamliel, known in history as Rabban Gamliel of Yavne, and not to be confused with his grandfather of the same name, Rabban Gamliel the elder, son of the previous Nasi, Rabban Shimon, who did not survive the destruction, and fifth in line of the Nasiim, which originated with Hillel. So when Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai subsequently passed away at the age of 120, but 8 years after the destruction, his position as Av Beit Din was filled by Rabbi Yeshua, an older colleague of Rabban Gamliel. So we have Rabbi Yeshua's older than Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel is the Nasi. Rabbi Yeshua is the Av Beit Din. The Nasi has the ultimate decision on the court, not the Av Beit Din. Okay. The nation at this time was still reeling from the blow dealt by the loss of the temple. This was in addition to the enormous loss of life that the war with Rome had brought about. Over 1 million Jews had perished in the siege of Jerusalem alone, and many thousands had been taken captive and sold into slavery. The old order was gone, and Jerusalem and the surrounding cities lay in ruins. Indeed, the first few years of Yavne were almost totally devoted to offering succor to the bleeding nation. That Rabbi Elazar, the son of Sadok, when Rabban Gamliel and his Beit Din were at Yavne, they were occupied with the public need and did not interrupt even for prayers, so as not to disrupt their concentration. Only later, when the destruction was stabilized somewhat, did the Mesivta, which comprised of 72 chief sages, in addition to others of immense, though lesser stature, began devoting a considerable part of its efforts to its future primary function, the Torah. So an important thing to note is, according to the Dor Rishonim, that while the people were suffering, the rabbis weren't sitting down and learning and talking about all these things. Rather, they were taking care of everybody, repairing the breaches, as it were, within the people. Once they felt it was safe to go back to the base matters, they started to do that again. Among other matters, this included resolving issues of uncertainty in the orally transmitted Mishnah, deciding on matters that had been in dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, and in general, clarifying details which the upheavals of the nation had obscured. Over all this and more, the Nasi presided. It had always been important, even in pre-destruction days, for the Nasi to exercise his authority. Now, however, in the aftermath of the greatest upheaval the nation had ever experienced, it was the strongly held opinion of Rabban Gamliel that the prestige of the Nasi's office needed to be protected even more in order to unify the people. Okay, and against this backdrop, the story that follows, which transpired about 14 years after destruction, will be better understood. So Rabban Gamliel is feeling that he must rule with an iron hand. He feels that's what's necessary for the people to survive and to thrive. So when he feels challenged, that's not going to be good. Now, another principle that he didn't bring up here is there can only be one Torah. Okay, so if the Nasi makes one decision and the ousted makes a different decision, so now I have a split in the world. And because you're both luminaries, and one's actually older than the other, that could cause a real dissension in the ranks. Just like with Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. Why did we ultimately rule like Beit Hillel? Why? Because, besides it was a quick vote, but really what happened was they had to pick one over the other. It happened to be that Beit Hillel overran Beit Shammai at that point, but the point was that you can't have two Torahs, because people on the outside, the regular Balabayit, won't understand what's going on. So I'm going to be doing this, you'll be doing this. How is that? And you're going to be moving in different areas. It's worse when we have all these different minhagim that everybody comes up with. Okay? But at least we know they're minhagim. But if you would say, no, there's a halacha, which is what people try to say every time, that's when you have a breakup. So they were all trying to stop that one way or another. So here's the story. So it says, Tana Rabbanan, we should get through some of the story. There was an incident involving a certain disciple who came before Rabbi Yeshua. Again, he is the Av Beitin. Amralo, the disciple said to him, Tefila Arav Reshut O Chova. Now we discussed prayers, right? We said the prayers were established by the forefathers and were in conjunction with the sacrifices. So when it comes to Ma'ariv, it was established by Yaakov, and it was in place of the limbs that were not yet finished burning from the day. But if there were not limbs burning from the day, in other words, everything was burned, so then you wouldn't be burning it. So he's asking, based upon that, is Ma'ariv Reshut? I can have a choice of whether I want to daven or not, or is it compulsory? So Amalei, so Rabbi Yeshua answered him, Reshut. It is elective. Now the Eitz Yosef says, what does that mean? No, he says Lav Davka Reshut. It doesn't mean, it's not specifically that you have an elective. If I don't feel like it, I won't daven. I'm too tired to daven. No, that wasn't what it meant. Rather, it's called Reshut, it's called elective if there's another mitzvah that I'm doing, there's another mitzvah to do. Aval ein levatal china, but you can't just nullify it altogether. But rather, there's something else you have a choice of which mitzvah to do. And so I have a choice. I have two mitzvot in front of me. Okay, fine. So I choose mitzvah A, not mitzvah B.
The word reshus means permission. That's what I understand. So does that mean if you say it's reshus? You're giving yourself permission whether you do or not want to do it. Is that how they?
That's what
use of the word.
That's how they're using it right now. So when he says reshut, so what? That's normally the way to say reshut. That I have permission. If I want to, I can. If I don't, I don't. Okay, so I got what out right. When it comes to shachar and mincha, everybody says you have to go.
Yeah.
So here's an example. Okay, I go to a hockey game. Okay, fine. So I go to a hockey game and I daven shachar is done. I want to daven with a let's say I want to get a minyan in. So I know I'm going to a hockey game. I pull the hockey team together. I say let's daven mincha. Okay, fine. So we get to we go, and then now we go to the hockey game. Team Notre Dame, whoever again, fine. They went to triple overtime. If such a thing exists, you probably could. Triple overtime. I'm getting home. I'm exhausted, and I say to myself, you know what? It's rishus. I don't have the kavana right now to daven. I just want to go to sleep. I'm falling asleep. I may not even be able to say. I'll say my Shema. That's what I'm obligated to. The rest, leave me alone. How can you daven without kavana? You have to have kavana. So I go to sleep. So is that what reshut is? So the Yosef says no. That's not the reshut. The reshut is I have the opportunity to go to a shir, to honor my father, to honor my parents, to whatever the other mitzvah is. I have two mitzvot in front of me. I have the choice which I can do. If I want to daven Maariv, apparently I have to give one up for the other, by the way. I'm not sure why, because Maariv goes the whole night, so I'm not sure why that would be a case, even for Rabbi Yeshua. I'm not sure how the Yosef really rationalizes that out, because actually maybe it's like this. Maybe it's I have to do Shemira. Okay, so what happens? If I'm doing Shemira, I can't daven. So, but I would argue that the guy could have daven Maariv first and then on Shemira. Once he puts himself in Shemira, by the way, ousted for mitzvah. I'm working in a mitzvah. I'm patur from everything else. That's the simple. I'm exempt from everything else. That's the simple thing. But if I have both of them in front of me, and I choose to do one over the other, so that's where I guess he's saying I have my reshut. And apparently, like I said, I won't be able to do it later on. So nobody can understand that. Because you would think that once you have a mitzvah to do, it's in front of you, you should do it right away. Okay. So, like I said, the simple way to read it though is it's elective, and it would make more sense in the story actually than to say what the Eitz Yosef is arguing. But I'm giving that over. Okay. So, Baal Lefnei Rabban Gamliel. So now the same disciple came before Rabban Gamliel. Amar lo. He said to Rabban Gamliel, to feel it Arvit, Reshut or Chova. Is it elective or is it compulsory? Now you have a problem here. Why is he going to ask a second person?
You already got an answer.
You ask a person, and you got Reshut. If you got Chova, okay, maybe you want to run to somebody else.
You don't like the answer.
No, but I'm saying, but it's the best of all worlds. Reshut. So if I want to do it, I can do it. I don't want to do it. But now you're going for chumrah. What are you going for? I don't understand. Somebody says, is it mutter or is it usher? And I say, mutter. You're going to go for me to find this usher? Why? What are you torturing me for? I don't get that. And so I'm not even sure. We're going to see the reaction. But my reaction, we'll go for it. So what's the answer? It says, I'm a lo chova. It's an obligation. You have to do it. So I'm a lo. He said, so this disciple said to Rav and Gamliel, hello, Rabbi Yeshua Amar Reshut. Excuse me, Mr. President. I can see it now, Mr. President. The Deputy Vice President, he didn't agree with you. He says it's Reshut. Now, my reaction, if I was Rabbi Gamliel, to put myself in his shoes for 1 second, would have said, excuse me, if you asked my Av Beitin what the halacha was, why are you coming to me? 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 Why are you coming to Even if I disagree, fine. But why would you come to me? Why would you? We have a rule that if you ask somebody a shayla, you go with their response. Now you want to ask me theoretically? Was this a theoretical thing with you? Maybe it was theoretical. Maybe that's why I didn't get so excited. But for me, once you go, and the truth is, the Art Scroll also picks on it. It says Torah scholars refer to as shield bearers. Oh, I'm sorry. So he says Sifter Chachamen regarding propriety of asking a second halachic authority for a ruling after obtaining the first one first from someone else. Okay, so even if we're all recognizing the problem here, that once I ask somebody for good or for bad, if I ask you the shayla, you're stuck with my answer, as it were. You came to me, so who asked? I always tell people when they come to me, I say, "Why are you coming to me?" And they say, "You're my rabbi." I'm your rabbi means you're going to follow what I say. So they said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, so that's something else." You just ask me for my opinion and why are you bothering me? Go to your rabbi. They used to do when I was in. I would get calls from people, and when I was in Maine. They would ask me, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" I said, "Who are you?" "Well, I'm visiting." "So call your rabbi." "What are you calling me for? You think I'll give you a heter? What's your problem?" I'll be more stringent on you because I don't know who you are. But people like to do that. They like to ask around to try to figure this out. Okay, fine. But he didn't say that. So Rabban Gamliel goes like this. He said, Amrlo, okay, Ram Gamliel said to the student, Hamtein ad shikansu ba'ale teresin lebeit midrash. Wait till all the people, literally means shield bearers, but Rashi tells us that this term is teresin, means that it's the soldiers. I'm sorry, what do you call it? The Talmid Chacham, why they call this? So Rashi explains Chachamim Manaschem Zeh V'Halacha, that the Chachamim are arguing with each other, are trying to be victorious in Halacha. They're banging it out, okay? If you ever go to the Beis Medrash, I'm sure when you've gone, you've seen people yelling at each other vehemently. How dare you? And then they go for a cup of coffee. It's like pro wrestling. They beat each other up, then they go for a cup of coffee or a beer. But it's that's what it is. So he said, wait till everybody comes to the Beis Medrash, and then ask a question again. Fine, let's ask a question. So now he does. Keshenichnasu bali trace, and so when the rabbis come in, Amar Shal V'Shal. So the person, the questioner, stood up and he asked, Tefilat Aravit Reshut Chova, is the for one to have to daven Marav, is that elective or compulsory? So Amar Lo Ram Gamliel called it. Ram Gamliel replied in front of everybody, it is compulsory. Amar Lehen Ram Gamliel Chacham. So then Ram Gamliel said to the rabbis, everybody there, Kalum yesh adam shecholik b'davar zeh. Is there anybody who disagrees with this ruling? What's he want? He wants his Av Beitin to stand up. Fine. So Amalei Rav Yeshua, Rav Yeshua, the Av Beitin said, no, nobody disagrees with you. He wanted to, and so the Tzlach says, out of respect for Rav Gamliel, to preserve the public concord, Rav Yeshua sought to conceal his opposing ruling. He didn't want to get involved. Fine. So, Amrlo, Rav Gamliel said to Rav Yeshua, V'halo Meshimcha, Amrlo Reshut. Amrli Reshut. But in your name, it was reported to me that you said it was Reshut. Rav Yeshua. So Amrle said, so Rav Gamliel said to Rav Yeshua, Yehoshua, Amod al Raglecha v'yidu b'cha. Yehoshua, stand up on your feet and let them testify against you. So Amad Rav Yeshua, so he got up, he stood up, and he said, were I alive and the questioner is dead, I would be able to say he's a liar. But because the guy's alive, I can't, for the living are able to contradict the dead. But now that I'm alive and he's alive, How can it be possible for the living to contradict the living? So I have to admit, I did issue that ruling, and I did say that it was reshut. Okay. Now, really, what you have to ask, what are they arguing about? Really, what's the argument about it all? Is it just a matter of, we have a question out there based upon the Kabbanis, is it if I have limbs there, I burn it, if not, and that's what reshut is, or is it something else? So, yaakov, I'm just going to cut this really down because I don't go through the whole thing, but he basically says it's a philosophical argument as to, do I go by the beginning or do I go by the end result? If I go by the beginning of who can start to learn, who can start to learn Torah, so then that makes it reshut, if I remember correctly. That makes it permissible. In other words, it's up to me. Can I go and can I? If it's going by the end, then it's chova, what the action is. Okay? I hope I said that right. If not, I'm in trouble. Because what did he say? He says, let me just go through really quickly. It says Master B'Talmud. Okay, it says Al Derech Tarash Shout to V'Sugya. Where is it? E Talmud Gadol, E Mas Gadol. Which is greater, learning or action? And that's what the argument is about. If it's going on at the beginning of the thing, namely the Ikar is Talmud, the main thing is teaching, is learning, and that's the beginning of the action that's brought from it. Or maybe it's the beginning of the action that's the main thing. And that's what they're arguing about. This is also the order of the prayers of the day. You have Shachris, Mincha, and Mariv. So according to the one that says that Tefillah of Mariv is Reshut Savrei, the Tefillah Davar, Ikar, so the one that says that it's Reshut, he's saying that the action is the main thing. That the limud, I said right. The limud, the learning is the main thing, v'lo sofa davar, and not the end result. L'chachu rak reshut. That's why it's only elective. I have to start learning. The action is something else, but I have to start learning. That's reshut. That's why Marv is Aman de Amad Tefillah Arav V'Chova. But according to the one who says that Marv is an obligation, Sofa Davar Ika, he's holding that the end result is the main thing. And so he says, okay, so that's what was going on. Am I going on the action or am I going on the learning? If I go on the learning, so that is, it's elective. If I go on the action, that's kova. So that was what they were arguing about. He goes at length to talk that out. But really, it's not a simple argument of, I want to maintain my right as the Nasi to do whatever I want. Rather, he was saying that we have to look at what is the main part of what happens. What's the main point of learning? Is it the beginning, which is the learning process, or the end, which is the action? What is the main part? So for Rabban Gamliel, he said the main part is the Maisa, the action. So therefore, it's Chov, it's an obligation. Ma'ariv becomes the Chov. And for Rabbi Yehoshua, the main thing is the Limud. So for him, it's Reshut. I have the right to come in or not to come in. They would both agree that we have to follow Jewish law, but they're arguing on a technical, a philosophical point. And that's what we'll have to stop. So hopefully I'll remember in 2 weeks where we started.